Hello, I'm going to go over the requirements and the details for the History of Photography project assignment. So basically, hopefully you've already listened to this and have been thinking about and even maybe making some photos that are inspired by the photographer that you researched, the one that you submitted for your proposal. Over the last few modules, we've been learning about the history of photography, and I asked you to submit a proposal where you picked one of the photographers that were included in the list that I provided. Um, and so hopefully you've had the chance to think about that photographer's creative process, um, why you chose them, what about their work drew you to pick them from the list of 35 different photographers that were part of the lecture and people that were discussed in this learning unit. So for this project, you're going to submit 2 photos. I encourage you to consider the subject matter. Think about how you're going to photograph them, maybe where, what type of lighting, what's in the background. So, how are you kind of navigating those ideas of what you're going to photograph and where? I'd like for you to reflect on all the different subject matter that was covered in the guidelines and in the information that I gathered for you for this learning unit. So basically, you're going to submit 2 photos that you've made, and I want them to be made recently, so however that works for you. And in your discussion post, you're going to have a minimum of 500 words, and I'd like for you to respond to 2 of your classmates' posts. And again, in those responses, you can reflect back on the prompts that I've included for you to write your essay on. You could just pick one of them and just talk about how your interpretation of what's been created in the photographs. So for your essay portion, you're going to submit 2 photographs made by you, inspired by the photographer that you submitted for your proposal. And I want these to be new photographs that you've made. So you're also going to include the name of the photographer you studied and at least 1 photograph by that photographer to remind me and your classmates. So we can kind of just look at their style as we're looking at the photographs that you've submitted. I'd like for you to discuss how you feel the photographs you made compared to the photographer you researched. So that can be, you know, I don't expect you to make photos exactly like the photographer, but just how the photographer's work is compared to the images that you've submitted. Did you do something really different? Did you try to do something similar? Did you convert your photos to black and white, or did you keep them in color? So those are all things, again, that you can do on your cell phone, making something black and white, doing a little bit of cropping or adding contrast. So just talk a little bit about your photographs compared to the photographer that you researched. Then I'd also like you to state your feelings regarding the subject matter you decided to photograph and explain why you picked this subject matter. That might be influenced by the photographer that you studied, or it could just be something that you wanted to explore in your own photographic way. I'd like for you to talk about what you were thinking when you created these photographs that you've submitted. And then finally, I'd like for you to explain what you might do differently if you could retake these photos. So again, thinking about the background, the foreground, the subject matter, the lighting, all that kind of stuff. If you had more time, like what would you do differently? All right, keep me posted with any questions. Thanks.